I have a couple of problems.
All right, guys. So it's 5 o'clock. We're gonna have Carmile. So we're gonna wait for him to join. Let me just hit him up and see if he's ready. 1 second. Okay, guys. He'll be with us shortly. So if you didn't, go check out our last show with Obi-Wan. It was pretty cool. Um, that was talking graffiti of New York City, Bushwick. There goes Carmine. Let me add him. All right. So there we go. Perfect. Hey.
Hey, hey, how's it going?
I'm all right. I'm all right. You look cool with your glasses on.
I can't complain. I can't complain at all. How's it
Nice.
going?
Uh, yeah. You know, I
There's
gotta
been a
be
lot of that.
funny because I got a comedian in the house with me right now. So.
Okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
well, I've been all right. I've been trying to cope. My head's killing me. I'm getting lazy, but I'm
Hmm.
getting up early. Like I'm still getting up, and I noticed in the last week I've been getting up like 7:38. Just my body. So it's pretty cool.
Right.
So,
Okay.
I guess it knows that we're gonna go back to work soon and it's trying to get its clock back together. But
Get back to the routine.
exactly. And for those people
Right.
who joined us too, I want to introduce you. This is Carmile,
Hello,
and
everybody.
he's an amazing person.
Oh, stop it. Oh.
Not only he's at home with Hall of Fame because he does a lot of shoots with us. He's a friend of ours. So we call him Hall of Fame family. He's a comedian, he's a director, a producer. There's jack of all trades, I guess, because I could sit here and continue naming things, right? So
Yeah, we'll be here all day.
I wanted to let them know that you are a person that was affected by COVID because I remember I did check on you in the beginnings of it and you had fears. So those are some of the things we're going to touch on today about traveling through New York, having to go to work, being in the workplace. And then we could talk more about, your skits, your comedy, because I seen you at the studio doing your thing, so
Thank you. Thank you.
let's get started. So you could let them know about work first if you like.
Sure. All right. Well, unfortunately, I am an essential. So I work security in Manhattan. So what my company, I'm usually outsourced to different locations for different things. But right now, I'm securing a Pacific building in Manhattan. I don't want to give too much information about that right now. But you know, my routine hasn't changed too much since this thing has happened. The only difference is there's probably I'm seeing maybe less people as usual. I'm used to seeing maybe like 400 or 500 people in a day in the building, where now I'm seeing maybe a good maybe 30, 40 people. Um, I don't have to deal with much people in like public, but I do have to still interact with the public, and that's pretty much what's the most nerve wracking part of this whole thing. Because while you watch everybody else get to quarantine at home, you still have to come out. You got to go to work. You still have to get on get on the bus, get on the train. Because I mean, we have the option to drive to Manhattan, but come on now, nobody wants to go park their car in Manhattan. That's just not
No, because
you know
parking's so expensive.
right. So
So,
you so I get on the train, I take the bus, and some days are better than others. Some days there's nobody around, and everybody, if there are people around, everybody's practicing social distancing. And then there's days where you go towards Manhattan and nobody's practicing it, and everybody's all close up together, and then you got to
yeah,
really like try to distance yourself, but you can't because it's like there's so much space you can move on the train. You know.
yeah, yeah, that's it. I think because I took the train to Queens on Sunday and, people were just sitting next to each other, and it's an empty train. You can go all the way to the other side.
Right.
They're just coming like it's a regular day. Some people don't even have gloves, they don't have masks. It's like, what's
Right.
going on? And this is why the cops are being the way they are because nobody's listening still.
Hmm.
Out of every,
And it's
like,
interesting because
there's one person not listening.
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I said every out of every 10 people listening, there's one person not listening. And I think you froze.
Yeah,
Your internet's going. I'm gonna wait for him to come back, guys. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, oh, there he goes. Okay.
sorry about that.
You're good. It happens.
Right. Yeah, as you can see, I'm still out and about. That's probably why my connection probably sucks.
Yeah. No, I was saying for every 10 people that are listening, there's one person that won't listen, and that's the problem.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And New York, we have this thing where we're really hard headed. Like everybody could be telling you until they're blue in the face that something is wrong, and New York is like, yeah, I'll figure it out when I get there. You
Yeah, and
know,
it
we'll
gets
cross
there.
that bridge when it happens.
And I think that why the virus spreads so fast because we're so like New Yorkers, people think that we're all mean, but we're not. Like if you actually
Hmm.
stop
Right.
us and talk to us, like we'll help you out, we'll look out for you, and if you need directions, we'll tell you. So I don't understand because New Yorkers have a thing. They're so used to being like cattle and being just in these confinements, the subway
Hmm.
especially, that it's normal. And when they can't have
Right.
it's out of their normal, like, so their bodies are kind of going through some anxiety, it kind of feels weird, and they feel compelled because we are social creatures to be with one another even if we don't know each other, and I think that's
Right.
the other thing that leads
Now,
to the mental aspect.
right. It is really weird because I'm telling you, as someone who's in Manhattan every day, to actually walk down the streets of Manhattan and not be bundled up with everybody is different as hell. It's almost like you want people to come back. It's like, dang, somebody, please, just come close to me, somebody. Like, because everybody, like, literally in Manhattan, things like it's not Manhattan anymore. It looks like I Am Legend out there at times. Because there be days where people do come out, and everybody just, you know, all like, walking and hanging out like there's not a
Yeah,
pandemic going on, And then, that's when you start seeing the police come out and start giving everybody face masks and everything. And it's just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I realize we're not supposed to be out here, right? We're in a pandemic, right? But
and then they get mad for the cops tackling them, but they're not obeying something that's passed not only in New York City but around the whole entire world. Like forget just the United
right,
States, this is a pandemic that's surrounding everyone. Like you can't even say,
right,
hey, I'm gonna go fly to Jamaica and I'll be safe. You can't
right.
go anywhere.
Yeah,
It's like I Am Legend, like you said, you're just kind of stuck.
right. And
And like Obi brought up earlier in the interview earlier, he was saying, this is possibly, biochem,
okay,
and it's a silent war between China and the United States.
right.
So like when we think about things like that, what do you think about the things in media that have prepared us for this, like Walking Dead? You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's shows on Netflix, kind of like Stranger Things, or there's one. It's a Swedish movie, and
Mm-hmm.
not like you probably have way more knowledge about movies and stuff. But this one was about rain, and it was
Mm-hmm.
a toxic rain, and it killed everyone, and it started in a lab, and it just escaped, and it was a gas.
Right.
So now when the rain's coming down, it's so toxic, it's killing people on contact.
Mm.
So
I
we're
haven't
all,
seen that one.
yeah, so let's touch base because you are in that field where, you can go to any aspect, whether it's comedy, sci-fi, reality. Um, what do you think this plays out to being in that field of, theater?
Well, I know when it comes to there's two films in mind when I think about this pandemic. With two films that I was like, this is like really, really like on the nose. There's a film called Outbreak, which from I believe it's 94, 95, and another
Hmm.
one called Contagion. Now, both of them were inspired by this book called The Hot Box, which is all about viruses. I think it's mostly specifically about Ebola, but basically about how viruses spread and how detrimental it could be to everybody. And when I say it's great because I rewatched Contagion like maybe right when New York was getting ready to be locked down, and it was
Mm.
almost like on the note, like literally to the T. It was like if you close your eyes, you couldn't tell the difference between watching the news and a movie. You know what I mean? Like it was almost like life, imitating art. You know, now I know when people when they make these type of films, they do have a lot of resources to get the type of information. The virus may be wrong on which virus it may be, but they were on point of what happened. What because they know they have contacts in the army and the CIA, so they can ask them. If this virus broke out here, what will be the first thing we do here? What will we shut down? How would the general public react? And then
Yeah.
history has time over and over again. We usually see what happens when people don't know how to act, when people get scared. Especially when people get scared, they don't know how to act. So these films, even though in a way it's almost like they predicted things, but at the same time it's not really a prediction because all they did was just find out what the CDC would say, what would the government do, all those, the only thing that they really didn't, I guess, predict or at least didn't put in their films was the lockdown. This
Yeah.
whole quarantine. That's the only thing that I didn't see much of.
Yeah.
When it comes to films. This lockdown pretty much caught everybody off guard. Nobody believed or even had an idea that this would happen. People knew. All right, one day maybe a lot of businesses were closed. People knew. All right, one day you're gonna go. You won't be able to go to groceries and find everything in the aisle. We knew
Yeah.
those things were coming. We knew. Wall Street's gonna have some issues. Financial issues, institutions are gonna fall apart. We knew all of that. But this whole quarantine, everybody staying at home. This is the only thing that nobody predicted, and and I think it's interesting to watch other countries deal with it, then watch here how we doing it at home because everybody, it seems like, because I'm not overseas to see this, but
Yeah.
most people seem like they're just staying put and waiting to this thing to be over. Where all of us here, especially in New York, is basically they're just like I'm over the virus. Virus or not, I'm going out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like if people were taken seriously before, they're not taken seriously anymore. You know. So it's interesting times, but dangerous times right now. You know.
Absolutely. And I feel like the blatant discomfort with me is that people just don't care, and they don't care about one another, So like one day, Tony and I were riding our bikes and we stopped to go get food somewhere. And this is during the COVID pandemic. And this lady is just like standing next to us. You know what I'm saying? She has a kid, and the kid's probably like maybe about 8 years old, no mask, no gloves, just walking right up to strangers at Stillwell train station, okay?
Right.
And this is a busy place. And then she's like standing right next to me. So I was like, listen, the person I'm with is autoimmune. Can you step back? Like,
Right.
you don't even have a mask on, you
And
know?
that
And it's like you're blatantly disregarding other people's safety, and it's not cool,
right. Right.
So,
'Cause people don't really understand. Like a lot of these masks aren't to protect you from the virus, but to protect others from getting the virus from you in case you have it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Because a
like
lot. Cause,
my kid either, like I have to
mm-hmm.
hold my daughter with gloves and I have to have a mask on, I recently
Right.
get off to take a picture for Mother's Day, and I
Mm-hmm.
I was terrified after because I was like, oh my gosh, should I expose her? But it could be a mom instinct, but how can
Mm-hmm.
someone not feel that for their child or grandchild in public?
Right. I don't think people really understand how dangerous it is, and I think mostly only because it's not nobody around them is going through it.
Yeah,
It's different when somebody personally, like your cousin, your brother, sister who caught
yeah,
it, compared to someone who not don't see anybody on the regular. So to them, this is like, YOLO. I'm gonna live my life, do what I want. If it catch me,
yeah,
catch me. Like those kids you saw partying in spring break. They were just like, yeah, YOLO. And then half of those kids got
that,
sick.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so it's like is everybody's having a good time until the shit hits the fan, basically.
Exactly. And you know why I took caution? My cousin's a bus driver, and he
Mm-hmm.
got coronavirus and he was very sick. Thank God that he's okay now. He's beat it, which means he's immune.
Right.
Um, but when we found out, it was like, whoa. And then every day, like at least 50 people in my network have lost
Mm-hmm.
people,
Right.
um, including myself, and close people to myself. And a lot of
Right.
people were in their early 30s, between 30 and 30.
Wow.
So
God bless that soul.
Exactly. And my mom is a nurse, and we were just speaking on Mother's Day. She was like, we have to be thankful in these times
Right.
because we don't know what we have, how long we have, and even if it's a stranger, we need to be kind, you know,
Right.
because these are kind of like the last moments. If you look at it, we have locusts, we have floods, we have fires, we have disease, we have, yeah, the hornets. Sorry, I got corrected by my
Yeah.
boss.
Killer hornets. Right.
Yeah, so basically, you know, there's like a whole bunch of stuff happening.
Right.
Oh,
Definitely
and
does feel like end of the world
like
stuff happening. Yeah.
Revelations, right? And
Exactly like Revelations.
it's nuts because what do we do now? We wouldn't think that people in the late 1900s would be going through this because they were projecting it to be further in the millennia, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So it's like, whoa, like I was talking to Obi earlier, the things that we've seen in our lives, like I came to
Mm-hmm.
this country when Bill Clinton was president in
Right.
the 90s, his
Mm-hmm.
first term. I did all 8 years with Bill Clinton. And I remember we were talking about how safe it was for us to walk to school by ourselves back in the day, and now we can't. Now we
Right.
can't even go outside without wearing a mask and gloves and wondering if we're going to die from touching something,
Right.
and it's like, whoa, this is in our lifetime.
Right. That's one thing I never thought I'd see during my lifetime is revelations come to life. That's one thing for sure. I always thought if it was going to be in my lifetime, probably when I'm grown, 50,
Yeah.
60 at least, you know? But I would never imagine while right now, like literally as I was transitioning into my 30s, that I would see the world start to fall apart, you know? Like I remember being a kid and when year 1999, as we were getting ready to be going to the new millennium, how people
Hmm.
were panicking about Y2K, like, oh no, this is it, everything's about to fall apart. And I remember for years after that New Year's, every New Year, I like it went on until maybe 2006. I want to say that I thought the world would end. Every year I just waited, like, okay, it's gonna be this New Year's. Okay, it's gonna be
Yeah.
this New Year's. It's gonna be this New Year's. And it doesn't happen. I'm like, okay, maybe, you know, I was bugging. Now here we are in 2020. I'm just like, oh no, maybe they were just wrong on the calendar because now
Yeah.
it got here. It did
Yeah.
get here.
Because it's still a two, it's still a two.
Right.
So, they probably just had their math off a little bit on their,
Just a little bit.
if we're following the Mayan calendar, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, but that is the Mayan calendar that
Mm-hmm.
predicted Y2K and a couple of other different death falls for the earth.
Right.
you know?
The one thing I just find interesting because especially anybody who like was on YouTube from like maybe 2009, I want to say, because that's when I started realizing what conspiracy theories were around the time Michael Jackson died. You
Hmm.
know, a lot of these conspiracy theories would say, this is going to happen, da 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 da. And when I was 19, I heard these things. When you're young, you're susceptible to it, and then you get older, you're like, it's all
Yeah.
bull. And then so here we are now in our adults, and now we seeing some of the stuff that people were warning about years ago, and now it's like, whoa, was that really a conspiracy, or was that a fact, and they just didn't know when? They just
Yeah.
knew, yeah, it was gonna
There was
happen.
a conspiracy that they knew it was going to happen and they were just preparing us for it so we didn't have mass destruction through people being idiots, like right.
Right.
Because I know, like in the 90s in California, there was a lot of rioting, there was a lot of stuff going on back then, and then if you go to the race wars in California, there was a lot of things going on back then with
Mm-hmm.
uh, the vandalism, the rioting, the killing, the deaths. And if you look at it now, it's kind of like the news wants to portray that. They want to pin us lower class people, middle class, who are
Mm-hmm.
poor. Now we can call ourselves poor, you know,
Right.
because we are struggling as a middle class. Hey, do you know what the documentary was on Brooklyn? We were watching, I'm not sure. There was a Brooklyn documentary, and the middle class lived in places like Park Slope, like those big brownstones and stuff, and they could
Right.
afford it. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine what being rich was like,
Right.
or being a middle class person was like. Because
Mm-hmm.
for us, it seems unattainable at this point because everything is so high, inflated, versus
Right.
the income that they're creating. So
Right.
for me, you being essential worker, you said you haven't changed your day-to-day life, so at least you're able to make an income. What
Right.
do you think people who have no choice, that have to stay home, should do? Do you think it's better? Do you think there's things that they can do, being a person that is in social media and tries to develop revenue from other aspects besides your day job?
Well, one thing I would say, any opportunity is a good opportunity to become an entrepreneur. You know, a lot of people get confused the idea of being an entrepreneur with becoming a millionaire. You
Yeah.
know, being an entrepreneur doesn't mean you're a millionaire. It just means you work for yourself. You know, that you can maintain your own bills. You know, and you know, I always try to tell people that it's better to start a business and try to work for yourself while you have a job. So, you know, when the day you don't have your job, you can rely on your own, you know, side income. But because of the situation right now, most people don't even have that original income to invest into a side hustle, you know. But there's always things that could be done. You know what I mean? Like if you're into, you know, Photoshop, or you're into video editing, or even, you know, writing like a blog or essays and stuff like that. There are a lot of people who are, you know, who will still pay you to do those things for them. You know, if you're in media, especially if you're in media, they still need, you know, graphic designers, editor. You go on websites like Fiverr.com and you can find freelance work. You know, if you're, you know, if you're in school and you know other people who are still in school that may need like an essay written or stuff like that, you can
Hmm.
help them, and you know, and you could charge a few people like, you know, $20 a paper. You got like, you know, maybe 25, and then you get 4 people, and boom, you made your first 100. You know what I mean? So there's always an opportunity to earn a living. It's just a question of your resources and your skills that you have at hand. You know, because there's some
Yeah.
things you can and stuff that you can't do. You know, like, because I know some people who decided they wanted to cook and start making plates. You know, they took their food stamps and they went to the supermarket and they made a whole bunch of hot meals, and then they sold those plates. But when you get into stuff like that, then you may have to worry about, you know, whether the people got their food handlers and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
always try to get people to focus on the things where it's not things that people could consume or, you know, could, you know, hurt anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I know a woman who she used to have a gym. She lost the gym, especially because of this whole COVID situation. So she couldn't keep it up, but she continues to teach her classes online. So
Nice.
she, you know, so there's ways to do it, and she doesn't even pay for Zoom. So her class only lasts for however long the Zoom, you know, trial goes, and then it's like, all right, guys, time to wrap up, you know, because she's not paying for that,
Wow.
but you know, that's her way of bringing money in. Everybody pays through Cash App, and you know, as soon as they pay up, the class starts. She invites everybody into the class, and you know, they go right ahead. And I know some people who are doing the same thing with cooking. You know, people who are teaching other people to cook through, like Skype and stuff like that. You know, so it's just a question of, you know, what skills do you have and what resources do you have at hand, and you know, in what ways can you monetize it? You know what I mean? Because there's too many opportunities, especially in 2020, for people to make a living without leaving their home. It does.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot of work, you know, and that's the thing people, I guess, lose sight of. They think that it's supposed to be easy because you're doing it from home, not realizing you're doing twice as much work as if
Yeah.
you were working for somebody else. But it's doable, as long as you actually have the energy to keep up with it. You know, if you can sit on Instagram for, you know, 3, 4, 5 hours, reaching out to 100 different people, trying to find at least 5 clients for the day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you could do that, then you could survive this without having to, you know, go back to work or look for work, you know, but it just depends on your dedication and your discipline.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that that's a great thing that you said too, because it's all about your motivation. It's all about thinking about others, and you have to feel what can others benefit from in these times, you know? So that's what people should cater to, you know? And I know that you are a comedian. I know you do skits. I know you have been keeping up. I saw your Trump one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
So,
we started a new series called "Escape the Coronavirus," and it wasn't just about escaping the literal virus, but just to escape you know, the day-to-day drama, you know, the stress that you get from the news. So we just wanted to create a series that's still educational, that can at least educate you on what's going on about the coronavirus, but still make you laugh at the same time. You know, we did we have 2 episodes out right now. One with the Black Trump skit, that was the last one we did, and the one before it was about, you know, how people would get offended that they wasn't following the guidelines. You know, how would your friends react when you decide you don't want to touch them and stuff like that. We have a couple of other ones we're getting ready to drop. We have one about a bougie bum who's he's telling people how to wash their hands, and as a bum, he's like, why do me as a bum have to explain to you how to wash your hand? Uh, after that, we have another one that's it's you know the show Double Dare on Nickelodeon?
yeah, I do
So
actually. I'm old. I'm old.
so it's a Double Dare edition. It's the coronavirus edition of Double Dare. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
So
And
we
that's
got some
what
stuff.
all cast too, right? That's kind of who you guys remind me of, like, especially you and Big A. It's kind of like a Keenan and Kel, but nobody is Kel.
Right.
You know,
Exactly. There's a lot of Keenans in there.
there's a lot in there, and I think that you
Right.
guys are super hilarious. I know
Thank
that
you.
we are friends on the outside of this too, so I still want to do a skit with you too.
Oh, you
Every
already know. You
month.
already
So
know.
maybe we could do something on video. Maybe we could try to do something and see what we could do. Make people happy, because
Right.
I feel like people like you are needed and are essential, especially in comedy, because when we're going through the worst parts of our lives and someone makes us laugh, sometimes there's a joke, right? And no matter how upset or angry you are, you can't help but burst out into laughter
Right.
and change your whole body, your whole vibration. So,
Laughter
for
is
people like,
medicine.
yeah, and people like you that exist, we're thankful for because
Oh, thank you. It's not
oh, you're welcome.
that.
You know, because when you're having a bad day, like you said, you could go and you can turn something on and just the slightest little thing. It could be something so stupid. It doesn't even have to be funny,
Right.
but it may be funny to that one person.
Hmm.
And you may have changed that one person's life that instant from making them smile.
Right.
And the gift.
And it's literally the best feeling in the world. It really is. When to
Yeah.
see other people laugh at your content. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do escape from the coronavirus is the moment I found out I was going to be an essential, I started panicking because I was just like, whoa, is this the day, every morning I woke up, I'm like, is this the day I'm going to catch corona and die? Am I going to catch it am I going to catch it when I'm on the bus and then I can't come home at night because I don't want to give it to
Yeah.
my elderly mother? So me creating Escape from the Coronavirus was almost in a way of, if it was almost like if there was one last thing I could produce and if there was one thing I could put out before I die, what would it be? And I figured, all right, if I could at least warn people about the virus while also entertaining them, it would be that. So it was almost just so like, okay, this is the last thing I ever produced basically on some Tupac stuff. I was just like, all right, if
Yeah.
I die, I got some content to put out. You know what I mean? You
Oh
know,
man.
so like literally, I think the first 2 weeks of the lockdown, it was just literally 16-hour days of just shooting back to back, just trying to get as much content, filming much content, in case, because I fear my biggest fear was I was going to get sick and then I can never see anybody again. So I wanted to make sure I had enough content so wherever I was, dying slowly, I could be on my computer putting the footage together. Like, all right, I'm not done yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just get it out there just in case, because you never know. You never know, and you can't take these things for granted. Because there's people who we thought we will see for the rest of our lives that we can't even call right now.
I'm
They're
telling you, and it doesn't even have to be coronavirus too, because just on a personal note, myself, I got news from my mom that my dad, passed away last year because you are a
right.
friend of mine. His brother that was in the photo I posted passed
Hmm.
away 2 weeks ago Saturday from a
Oh
heart attack.
no.
So even though he survived the coronavirus in Brazil,
Some,
he
right.
still a heart attack because there was just so much stress, so much things going on, and it's shocking because they're young,
Right.
and it's like I told my aunts, my dad had 19 siblings, and I told her, I was like, man, there's like six of you guys left now. Like, I'm so worried because, like, I myself, that's a mom that has a teenager, my daughter,
Right.
18,
Hmm.
it's like, wow, these family members are disappearing. Like, how am I going to keep in contact if I'm only close with the elders?
Right.
Because once I'm not really close, like, even my cousin is, Chinese Nikki, I have Chinese
Hmm.
Kitty, and like those are blood cousins, and we don't even talk because we weren't raised together. So like things that happen with families, different places, growing up with different sex of your family, because I grew up with my mom's family.
Right.
So it's like, wow, you're losing all these people, all this knowledge. We
Right.
didn't even have enough time to meet all of our family members. We think like
Right.
I'm planning a trip to Brazil next year with my uncle, and he's gone now. So it's like,
Right.
whoa, like you said, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We have to start preparing, especially if you're a parent or if you have elderly parents that you're worried about leaving behind.
Right.
um these are questions and we have to prepare the youth for,
Right.
because my daughter asked me questions. She was upset. She was like, mommy, I can't go back to school this year. Sucks.
Dude,
I
the
want
way they're talking about, they may not even like kids back in school in general with this
Yeah,
remote learning stuff.
and she's like you, she's a comedian, even though she's an athlete.
Hmm.
Her happiest moments are comedic, and she has that personality. And she told me, she said, mom, I miss school because I want to go and make jokes with my friends in the hallway.
Right.
So it's like, how is this affecting our youth? How is it like it's affecting us who are middle aged? We know it's
Hmm.
affecting the elderlies because they're worried, and
Right.
they're short. But the youth, how are we gonna provide for them?
Right. I
You
mean,
know,
one thing for sure, these kids are lucky that, they have not only the technology, but they're the access to information. Because imagine if we went through this back in the 90s.
Yeah.
We would be just completely assed out at this point. Like all we had was what, yo-yos. like, like we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves, you know.
You
So
know?
thank you know, I'm one thing I'm happy for with these kids. They're able to at least keep in touch with their friends. You know, whatever friends they were able to make when they were in school. You know,
Yeah.
like we you know, imagine doing this, dealing with this in dial-up age. Well,
Yeah.
everybody was on dial-up. You know what I
Hard.
mean?
Yeah, it's hard
Like.
because my daughter took it hard too because like you said, yeah, they do have the digital aspect, but she's part of a team. She's
Yeah, yeah,
staff,
yeah. You'll never be able to get that back. It's you know
yeah.
that's the one thing that messes with me now. I was telling somebody recently that one thing I'm having a hard time with is almost like going through withdrawal is not be able to go to the movies. You
Mm,
know, like and when I go to the movie, it wasn't just for like entertainment purposes. I just want to be entertained to see a movie. That was my mark. That was my research and development stage of understanding. What are people paying to see? What stuff they like, which actors do they connect to the most? You know what I mean? Like I will go see a movie in Brooklyn, then on the same day drive to like Long Island and see the exact same movie an hour later, just so I can hear how the audience reacted in a different borough. You know what I mean?
wow, that's
So
amazing.
to not have that right now and just rely on just going on Twitter and reading reviews, it's not the same as hearing it in real time how people respond to a film. You know what I mean? So it's definitely not going to be the same. Not be able to be in a room full of people and be able to actually feel the environment. You know what I mean? And I can definitely understand how your daughter feels to not be able to play because it's almost like the same thing when playing sports.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because she's a track runner and like this year their team were their junior Olympic team, actually the New York Novas, and they were going to adult Olympics this year. She's gonna
Right.
be
Wow.
and that's put on hold now for all the girls who have been running since they were 7 and up. So my daughter
Right.
was at 7, so she's
Right.
been working her whole life, literally
Preparing
her
for this.
whole life preparing for this. And 7 years later, because of coronavirus, they're shut down. There's no sports. So I'm sure this is affecting a lot of kids out there, like basketball players, football players, not only just our, NBA. And, there's a
Right.
lot going on,
Yeah,
and
that's
that,
one thing like I feel really bad for. One of the buildings I was doing security for is a hotel, and I literally watched like 400 people all get laid off right before this happened. You know what I mean? Like I watched every one of them get just laid off, or at least furloughed. Not knowing if they're gonna be able to come back or not. And in film, especially film and TV, there's over maybe I can't even count, maybe half a million of people that's people who can't work right now. People because a lot of people in media are freelance. They're not. It's not like a regular job.
yeah,
It's based per project. So today you could be working behind the scenes on a 50 Cent music video, and then tomorrow you have to do work on like How to Get Away with Murder. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it wasn't like you had a specific office to go to every single day and that was your job. It was like, all right, I'm working for this production company this week. When this production is done, I'm working on this production next week. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people right now who don't have that anymore. Whatever production they were working on, those productions got shut down. Like literally, if I could tell you about every movie that was being shot right now, the list would be brought down to like maybe 5 movies that's still in production out of the 50 to 100 projects that was being produced right now.
that's
And
crazy.
now granted, the big stars and the big names, they're fine. They got money in the bank. They'll be okay. But for the guy who held the microphone, the guy who handled the light, the woman who did the hair and makeup, the woman who, like no matter what job it was, the people below the line are the people that's struggling right now.
People who
The people who
even
are doing
brought
catering, the
water.
people.
Like, there's food people on set, like even the food people on set, the caterers, like just there's so many things
Mhm.
that go into making a movie, so many parts, compartments. I have friends that do cinematography and they do a lot of big productions. So I know there's like hundreds, there's like 300-400 staff. It's
Right,
crazy. And I'm out here in Coney Island and sometimes they shoot movies out here and you see like there's like groups of like 20-40 actors together just walking,
right,
filming. So I know it is something that is affecting everybody because I myself as a model, I lost out on quite a few gigs that I was gonna be paid for, but I
right,
can't see my designer because I can't get fitted because I
right,
can't get around them. So, until then, I can't do anything because I can't go to get fitted and get sewn on.
right. No, it's
So
tough. It's tough.
yeah, it's
I'm trying
tough. And I gotta check the time too. Oh, we're 5 minutes over, but it's cool. I mean, I think it's great. And also too, you are an essential worker. If people don't know, for those of you who have joined artatfame.com, there's a phone number there. You can go down there and get some free artwork from Hall of Fame, Art at Fame. Just call the number and find out more information about how to receive that. Yes. But I mean, I hope that we can get back to things soon and that we can come back, because I know all of us at Hall of Fame, you're part of the family. You know, we have been kind of spread out throughout the city. I haven't seen you since March 5th
Right, since this
to
whole thing
work.
started, right?
Yeah, like I haven't been to work since March 5th either. So that's probably the last day that I did see you, because you were there that day.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, right before I was getting ready to shoot, Escape the Coronavirus.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
crazy, you know? So, I mean, I hope in that time we're all safe. We all come out. We have so much that we could do when we get back to regular days.
Oh, yeah.
And in the meantime, I hope you stay safe traveling, because you know I do worry about my friends traveling
I
because I
appreciate it. Thank you.
do. About that, I'm sorry if I went off, because I was like, oh my gosh, if you're scared, just
Okay.
stay home, you know? But I really thank you for coming on our show, Carmile. I want you to let them know if you have anything dropping in the next week or two or in a month. If
Well,
with
yes, we have more episodes of Escape the Coronavirus that's coming out. I've been building for the last year or so, maybe more than a year. Basically, we've been building our own digital network. Similar to like a Vice or a BuzzFeed. So we are gonna have daily videos now. So we have a cooking show, we got a travel show, we got a hip hop show. So definitely follow me on Call Mail to find out which page is which, because I won't be posting all of them on my page because they're all different stuff. Like we have a show that's all about sex, love, and relationship. That's called Kinky Candy TV.
nice.
We got a show that's about brunch, which is New Brunch City. We have a couple more episodes of Kicks and Flicks, which is all about sneakers and movies. So we have daily episodes happening. Just the other day, 50 Cent retweeted episode of my other show, First Class Success, which is all about business and everything like that. So
Yeah,
there's a
because you
lot of
had
stuff.
a book and you were shouting him out because you read two of his books. I
Right.
do pay attention to you, so I did see that. I did read that, and it's amazing because you were saying that in the second book, you know, he explains things that people from our neighborhoods won't explain to you, and actually gives
Exactly.
you insight of the success. So, you know, kudos to people like 50 and you, because he's paving the way for future people, and I'm sure you will too, you know.
That's the
So,
plan.
and let me know if you ever need on that segment too, if you ever want an art show, you know, because you
Oh, definitely.
missed out on that one. I was waiting for the list.
I got you on that. I got you.
All right. So thank you again, Carmel. I really appreciate you, and I will be speaking to you very soon.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me here. Thank you guys for watching, and
Yes,
definitely follow Art at Fame.
definitely. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Stay safe.
Peace.
Bye.